Welcome back to Soapy. Wow. Deidre Hall. I've never met her. She's so beautiful in person.
She's stunning.
Clearly, she loves you.
She loves me.
What is she smoking?
Well, you know, I'm a charming guy.
So you say.
I just don't let you see it.
So you say.
What was fascinating talking with Deidre was just how much she loves me. Should we just lean into that? Keep going on about it?
Why don't we? Why don't we? Let's just keep talking about that.
You know what I forgot to mention?
What?
When she was here, she's such a pro. She knows how to get the work done. She's really funny too, because we had a scene a few weeks ago. I had a 3.5 page monologue, and we show up that morning, and she's like, "I cannot believe." You okay?
3.5 page monologue.
Is that how you cry?
Actors out there that
is that how you cry?
Kill to have a 3.5.
I know.
I wasn't.
At no point was I complaining.
Okay, but you had it.
I had it, and I was like, "Oh my God, there's so many words, and there's all these words, and how am I gonna get through it?" And she said, "We're all going home at the end of the day. So like one way or another, we're getting through it. We're all going home tonight." But she is such a pro. When we first started working together, she would say to me, "Make sure you take the edit beat." Do you know what that is?
Well, I mean, I don't go on top of someone's line so they can edit.
Yeah, it's like if you ever feel like you're going up or you're maybe going to lose the scene, make sure you pause before your line so that if they need to stop and just pick up the scene where you're at, we don't have to go back to the top.
You're just learning that now? How long have you been in daytime?
You know, Rebecca.
Wow, thank God for Deidre Hall. And you know what she was saying about we all go home at the end of the day? That's one thing I really love about a soap is that you get to go home at the end of a day. Yeah. And for actors, it's really rare. A lot of times you have to travel and be away from your family. I mean, I told my agents I wasn't going to travel. And so it really limited anything that I could do because there wasn't a lot going on in town. This was after I had my kid. And so I'm super, super, super grateful to be on The Bold and the Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And be able to go home to my kid.
Yeah, there was like a period of time before I was a dad that I would definitely be jealous of friends that were, you know, flying off to Vancouver or Toronto and getting to do, but because I, with the exception of my first job, have never really gotten to travel for work.
Yeah.
But now the thought of being somewhere else. I don't even want to leave my house.
I had to go shoot a movie in Vancouver. I don't want to go to Burbank. I had to go to Vancouver for, I think it was 3 weeks, maybe it was 4 weeks, to shoot this Christmas movie.
Oh, yeah.
And Charlotte and Mike were going to come up and see me midway through, like 2 weeks in, and her passport didn't get there in time, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It was horrible. I was like, I'm never doing this again. I mean, the shoot was fun, and the people were fun, and I loved doing it, but I was like, I'll do a guest star for maybe 9 days, but that's the most I think I could be away from my kid at this point.
Yeah, it would be hard for me. I think anytime I've had to leave, it's even just for fun, it's always hard to like get out the door, but I find like once I'm on the plane, or I've gone to New York a few times without Monty, then I'm thrilled. Like once I get to where I'm going, then I'm happy to just like have some time to myself.
And then you want to get back.
Yeah.
That's another thing about soaps though too. Who was it? Was it Eric or was it Deidre saying that loved being part of a company?
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of a soap. You really do feel like you become more of a family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because it's, you know, I think what Eric was saying is that, you know, if you're working in primetime or films, you have more time between takes to really sit and chat with people.
Yeah.
Here we don't necessarily get that, but the length of time we get to spend with our coworkers over many years creates that.
If we're so lucky.
That made me think of...
What?
What? I'm being sincere.
Okay, what? Made you think of what?
No, just that I was thinking about you driving onto the lot at Television City, and I always used to... as soon as I would pull through the artist entrance there, I would just always like take a moment of gratitude. And I was so glad to get to work in that building. It was such a magical place.
Yeah, I haven't worked at Television City. This is the first time I have. And there is something about walking down that hall and seeing all the photos, and then you see Carol Burnett's studio. And what did they shoot in our hair and makeup room? I can't remember. The cast used to be there, but so many shows were shot there. I think it was Cher. It was Cher.
Oh,
Sonny
wow.
and Cher.
Yeah.
They used to use our hair and makeup room, and I was like, wow, it's crazy.
I know. Wild.
Think about the air vents and the quality of the air in there.
I know. Also, we're at Burbank Studios currently, which is where they used to film The Tonight Show with Jay Leno.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Did they move your studios or something?
they have not moved our studios. There's been rumors, but nothing substantial. But who knows? We'll either stay or we'll go somewhere else.
Hopefully without you. Okay.
Oh, you're delightful.
I am, right? I am. It was so much fun to be with.
Not so much. You are fun to be with. For somebody, I'm sure. I would imagine, Charlotte, your daughter.
You really
enjoys
loved
being
me
with you.
during the pandemic.
I had no choice. Desperate times, folks. Desperate times.
Desperate times is right.
No,
right.
have we talked about that? Because we potted.
We did.
We potted. But we
Sounds like we're a bunch of orca whales. We potted together.
we were in an orca pod
We
together.
were in an orca pod.
But do you remember we would, Mike and I would take Monty and Charlotte on Saturdays, or any day really, and we would drive to UCLA because the campus was
Oh yeah, and you would take
a
them,
ghost town. We
and
would
then
take
you
their
and I would
scooters.
take them to the beach.
Yeah, that was
We
fun.
would drive to Malibu.
Yeah.
Think about that. You would wear a mask.
I was terrified. We didn't
You
know.
wore a
We
mask
didn't know.
outside on the beach.
did.
Anyway, we all did. I mean, I didn't want to laugh about it. It was a serious thing. So anyway,
But you just made light of it. So go
good
you.
for me. Do you have some more soap trivia for me or what?
I do. Okay. I have a feeling that you are not going to know the answer to this, but I bet our audience will.
You really think so?
Well,
that
this
I
is-
don't and they will?
Yeah, I
Okay.
do.
Okay.
This is a hard one.
Okay.
What was the first television soap opera to be broadcast in New York City and Washington, D.C.? I'll give you a hint because you're going to need it. It was a weekly serial, not a daily show.
Then how is it a soap opera?
I'm the one asking the questions here, not you. I will reveal the answer to that when we come back with our next guest, Sheila Ducksworth, who is Soap's newest power broker and executive producer of Beyond the Gates.
Beyond the Gates. Welcome back to Soapy, where we are in another trivia question with Greg. Okay, what was the first television soap opera to be broadcast in New York City and Washington, D.C.?
Well, you're 0 for 2 so far, Rebecca. I have a feeling you're about to be 0 for 3. It was, you don't know, do you?
Drum roll.
Highway to the Stars. It was a weekly half-hour soap created and written by Bob Wald. Highway to the Stars premiered on Dumont at 7:30 on Tuesday, August 12th, 1947 in New York City and Washington,
Here I
D.C.
am going, have I heard of that? It's 1947.
Yeah, so you were
Yeah.
what? Just a little girl? The show only lasted for 8 episodes, but its leading lady wanted to reach the heights of stardom.
Well, the fact that it aired in D.C. and that the leading lady wanted to be a star is a perfect segue to our next guest, Sheila Ducksworth. Sheila is the executive producer of CBS's new soap opera, Beyond the Gates, and it is produced with NAACP Ventures and Procter & Gamble, which is amazing that they got back into the soaps. Sheila's past credits include head of scripted television and production for Will Packer Media, where she executive produced the series Ambitions, which is kind of amazing.
We love
and
Jimmy Gibbons.
and Wendy Williams, the movie. Welcome.
Thank you. Great
We're
to
very
be here.
excited.
We're so happy to have you
I'm
here,
excited
Sheila.
to be here. I have to say, it's awesome.
I think so too.
And congratulations on the brand new podcast.
I think it's like brand new
amazing.
soap, brand new podcast.
Hey, it works.
Yeah, hey, I honestly, I feel like soaps are absolutely having a moment, in no
Yeah.
small part to the enthusiasm surrounding Beyond the Gates. And we have talked on our own about just the fun, the challenges, and everything that comes with creating a character.
Yeah.
But I would love to hear from you about what the process is of creating a show from the ground.
Yeah,
It's remarkable,
yeah.
remarkable achievement.
It has been such an incredible just process, I have to say, and one that's taken a fair amount of time. I first pitched the idea about 4.5 years ago, so going on 5 years, but it was an idea that's been close to me for a very long time, that's really rooted in reality. For those of the folks that are watching, they know that Beyond the Gates is set in the DMV, so in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, and specifically our family, the Duprees, live in suburban Maryland. And that was really important because what some people may know and others may not know is that in suburban Maryland, you'll find estates and gated communities just like Fairmont Crest that are predominantly Black, and folks living in 10,000 square foot mansions on park-like grounds and all of that. And so I really wanted to put a spotlight on what was actually true and real.
Yeah.
And so that was really the genesis of it all. And I have to say, it was just an idea that, again, I had carried for a very long time, and the opportunity arose about the fall of 2020 when I was talking with the co-CEO of Paramount Global, George Cheeks, and we were talking about the new production company that had just formed. He had done a deal with the NAACP here at CBS. The NAACP was looking to do more than just the Image Awards, which obviously has been a huge mainstay for decades now, for over 50 years. And so they wanted to do more, and George put together the production company, and then they were looking to have someone to run it. So ultimately, when I was talking about coming on board, I was saying that I really have, because I've had such a love for daytime and for soap since I was 10 years old. So I had such a love for it. I said, I really want to do every day part. I really want to do daytime, quite frankly. And then I said, I actually have a soap. And to my surprise, George said that he had been thinking about doing a soap. And so I kind of slid right on in there and pitched it, and away we went.
It's so surprising because soaps were dropping like flies and going away. And I love that they're bringing back, and that CBS has supported it. And that also that it centers around a family of color. And was it similar to... I know you did Ambitions as well. So was it similar to that, or was it different? How were they different?
So different. And
getting it started.
Yeah, different, wildly different. And that's how every production is, quite frankly. Even if you're doing something of the same genre, every production is its own thing. It's its own child. And so you have to figure out how to kind of get in there and make it work for you. What's really interesting and different about Beyond the Gates is that this was set to be a serial show daily. So Monday through Friday, which means that there are a whole lot of things that have to be done a whole lot differently than really that you would do a show that's going to be airing once a week, and it might be airing for 12 episodes or 13 episodes or even 20 episodes. We're shooting over 200 episodes a season, which, as I know that you all know, that's how it goes. It's a lot of episodes. And so we're shooting a lot of episodes, and how do you build that machine to be as efficient as possible? So it's really its own beast, and it's been really incredible putting all the pieces together to make it run.
But did Ambitions inform the way you approached this?
I would say not so much. I've done dramas before. I actually was a co-producer on Soul Food, if you guys remember Soul Food.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that was 25 years ago. But that was 25 years ago. And so I've had a fair amount of experience with dramas, and I would say Ambitions probably mirrored more of those experiences with hour-long dramas that are weekly as opposed to daily, which really is very different.
Yeah.
It is really different.
Now, did Michelle Valjean, was she on Ambitions, or did you know her before that?
She was on Ambitions, but I've known Michelle for over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And that also stemmed from a love of soap operas. So I was a huge Generations fan, although I will back it up and say before then, I was a huge General Hospital fan, a huge Edge of Night fan. So a lot of shows in the meantime. And but when Generations came out, I was an adult as opposed to, being in elementary school and junior high school. So I knew what I was missing when that show went down. So truly, when the show went down, I just said, I need to find a way to make a soap opera because I loved that show. And ultimately, I moved from New York City to Los Angeles. Flash forward several years, and I met Vivica Fox, and she and I became friends. So this is probably
I know.
obviously she was playing Maya in Generations, exactly, amongst other things. I mean, she's such an incredible just force of an actress, and so she and I became friends. And I told her my biggest dream in TV, and I was working in TV at the time, and we had a project that was going actually at the time. And I said, I really want to make a soap opera. And she said to me, well, if you want to make a soap opera, then you need to meet Michelle Valjean. And she actually introduced me to her. So that was easily, it's 20 plus years ago. So we got together, we talked about a soap and how we would do it and all of these things. And, it was a declining market for soaps for so long. So it was kind of one of those things like, will it ever happen? I always felt that it would happen because good ideas are here to stay. That's kind of how I see it. And so what was really cool, though, was that when I was leading Ambitions for Will Packer Media and or we shot that for OWN, it was really incredible because the showrunner and the creator of that show was also, that's Jamie Giddens, that's exactly right. And Jamie was also friends with Michelle. And he said to me, I want to bring Michelle on board. And I thought, that's great. So we shot that in Atlanta. Michelle came out. I was in Atlanta for months at a time. Whenever I launch something, I'm there for the time, obviously, to get it done in terms of pre-production and then shooting it and all of that. And so it was really cool. She came and we looked at each other and we were like, was this what we said that we were going to do 20 years ago? And we both said, no, this isn't it. This is one thing, but this isn't the soap. And so, that was kind of like one of those intermediary things. And it was very cool that we got the chance to do what we both really dreamed that we wanted to do.
So when you pitched that you wanted to do this soap, and you kind of got the green light, did you and Michelle already have an idea of what that was going to look like? Or did you come up with it on your own? I mean, how do you set the tone? How do you decide what it's going to look like and be like and what the families are going to be like? I mean, it's kind of overwhelming, actually.
Well, I wouldn't say overwhelming because it's an idea that I've actually lived with for a very long time and one that I kind of felt very comfortable with, showing this family and showing this kind of milieu.
So you had that in your head already of what you wanted it to look. And Michelle knew that, right? Did you collaborate on that?
No, she didn't actually.
You just went to her
What
and said,
happened was, well, the funny thing is, so I said, this is the pitch. I had said to George, this is what I'm interested in doing. And he said, we can explore that. So that's kind of where we left it. And I said, I have the best writer. Right. It wasn't a yes and it wasn't a no. We can explore it. And so then I said, I have the best writer for this. I have the perfect person. And so I hadn't talked to Michelle at all about this idea. So then of course, I was like holding my breath like, Michelle better say yes. So that's really what it was. And so I called her up and I pitched her the idea, and she said, yeah, I'll do it. So that's really the genesis of where we all started. I started working at running the CBS NAACP venture in November of 2020, and we got her deal started right away. In fact, my first day that I was starting up with a job, I called George and I said, what are we going to do about the soap? And he said, call David Staff, who we all know is the president of CBS Studios. And I called David Staff, and David Staff said, yeah, let's get it in business affairs. And truly, we were in business affairs right away. And we were kind of the ball was set in motion through the holidays and then the top of the year. And the really amazing thing was that in January, while we were in business affairs with Michelle, Mark Pritchard of Procter & Gamble, if you know who he is, obviously Procter & Gamble we all know, but Mark Pritchard is just an amazing, amazing executive and leader over at Procter & Gamble. And we did a Zoom with him, George, myself, and Mark, and I ended up pitching him. We were just really talking about ideas, and I said, you know what? I'm going to pitch. And so I pitched the idea.
They were out of it.
They were out of it.
Yeah.
But And they were the forerunners of it.
I
They were on the
know.
ground floor of radio for soap and
Yes.
obviously TV, and had worked hand in hand with CBS for so long. And so it was really cool. You know, we're talking about projects in general, and I pitched Mark the idea, and truly Mark said, you know, I love the idea. And when you're ready to pitch it, I let him know that we're in business affairs with our writer. So when you're ready to pitch it, I want to hear it. And so we were ready to pitch it a year and a half later, and that's what happened.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. Do they have a lot of notes, or do they let you guys just sort of fly
I have
into
to
your
say,
thing?
Michelle is so brilliant. There were no notes.
Wow.
She's so brilliant. And back to your question about, I had in mind what I wanted it to look like, the style of it, but the characters and the storylines and all of that were 100% Michelle. I just had the premise. I had, here's a couple sentences of what I want to do, and she really made it happen. So she took about 6 months to put together a Bible that gave us everything that we needed, this entire roadmap. And it's really incredible because if people were to look at the Bible now and see what's on the air, it's so close. It's virtually the same. And that's because what she wrote was so genius. It was so great. And there were virtually no notes. And that's from everybody, from George and from David Staff. And David Staff, we sent it over to Brian Seabury, who's the head of drama for CBS Studios, as well as Amy Reisenbach, who's the president of CBS. And I have to say, it was so incredible getting the feedback from the Bible that everybody just was like, this is terrific.
Yeah.
And it really hasn't changed much at all. So all credit to Michelle.
Were you juggling both your job that you got here at CBS and executive producing it? So you're juggling both.
Well, that's what I do. So that's really, my job is really part executive and part producer. I do both things.
You're used to doing this. You're like, I can do this.
I have to say,
But it's a big undertaking, though. Like
a huge undertaking. What amazed me is, because we've both worked in this genre for a long time, and we've both had the experiences of whether it's been our character or a character that we are working with on a storyline who comes in, and you see how a character is introduced and how over time their family will expand or whatnot. But watching that first episode and seeing how brilliantly, like, everybody's just introduced, that is not an easy task. It's not introducing a character, it's introducing an entire world. And it was,
that was Michelle. Michelle wanted to write all 5 episodes. So we have a writing team of 15 now to pump out all the episodes, but she did that solo. She did episodes 1 through 5 that got us out the gate, all of that. And I mean,
Beyond
the characters are...
She got us beyond the game.
I mean, it's so juicy. And I mean, the whole thing was just, I mean, I can't even put words to it, because as I was reading them, once she finished writing them, which was just last year, it was literally about last year this time that we had those 5 episodes written, because we moved from the Bible. There was a lot that had to happen between actually, having the Bible written and actually figuring out, how do you make a soap these days that feels relevant and feels current? We're the first soap of the millennium, which is crazy, but it's the first new soap of the millennium. And I wanted to make it feel fresh. I wanted to make it feel the same, so that the soap audiences would not feel alienated, that they're looking at something that looks strange and different. But at the same time, I really wanted to infuse like now and today and make it current and contemporary.
I don't want to get too in the weeds on production, but I was really blown away by the production value and the establishing shots, not just the exterior ones, but coming from what looks like a second story down to your actors if they're on the first floor of a home or whatever, and then how that was done a few times. I was like, we don't do anything like that on our show, and it looks beautiful, and the light, all of the things that we all know go into beyond your actors and your directors and your writers. The part that everybody plays in making a production looks great, and it feels exactly what you were talking about, familiar but also new,
but modern.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for that. Yeah, that was part of all that time from 2020 to the, us being on the air. And obviously we just debuted on February 24th. But all of that time, everything was really hand crafted
Yeah.
and really chosen in a way. It wasn't one of those productions where it's like we have to do it really fast. We had time, and I had time to think about who was going to be the best person for the job, not just talent-wise, but also because, we have a really great vibe, which we're hoping emanates from the set, and I think that it does, but it's just people who are in it for the mission of making this history-making, groundbreaking television series. And so a lot of it was kind of looking at, kind of the vibe of the people and looking at the talent of the people. And fortunately, I've produced a lot in Atlanta, and I've produced quite a bit over all the years. So I had in mind who I wanted, and truly, I've told the story before, it was 2 years before we even got our green light, and you're talking about our production design. Bruton Jones was our production designer, and he and I have worked closely together before. And it was about what are the colors that we're going to use, what are the textures we're going to use, what do we want this to look like? Now, 2 years prior, I wasn't able to talk to him about it, so everything was kind of like buttoned up. But I was able to say in due time, I want to tell you about this project that's going to be huge, and I'm going to need you for it. And I said,
was he in Atlanta?
He's in it. No, he does a lot of work in Atlanta, but he's actually based here in Los Angeles. But he's moving to Atlanta, actually.
So because you've done a lot of work in Atlanta, is that why you chose to shoot the show in Atlanta versus Hollywood?
So there are a lot of factors. I knew that I could shoot the show in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So I knew that there were a lot of great people, great crew, great talent, great facilities. So I knew that we could make this work.
Yeah,
and
the facilities are nice there.
Yeah, we're over at Assembly Studios, and we're the first inhabitants for our production offices as well as for our stages.
Wow.
So we were able to customize it and make it exactly what we needed. And it's just fantastic. It's just a great environment. But there was a lot of planning that went into the people that would lead the departments. And I have to say, all those folks, the heads of the departments, they're just incredible.
She took Julie Carruthers, who was our producer from All My Children.
I did.
And Jerisa, our wardrobe designer at Bold and the Beautiful, I knew for all of like 2 weeks before she left.
But the most fun thing I think about this genre and working in this genre is there is a specificity to what we do and how these shows are produced and made that people often ask me, how come one actor will go from one show to the other? And I say, because they need somebody there on day one who knows we're going to shoot 30 pages in an hour. And so seeing Stephen Williford, Tamara Tooney, and it makes sense that we are sort of this little company of actors that sort of can go from one show to the other. And again, they can be new, but also a little familiar, and I think all that
Katie McLean
contributes.
John
Lindstrom,
Mike Manning.
It's a great group of people, I have to say.
And so how was the experience for you? Had you lived in Atlanta before, or you said you were there for 6 months, right?
So I've never lived there. I was there this time for 6 months, but I've been there for blocks of time, for months at a time. This time I actually got keys to an apartment. So this one was a little bit more permanent than the rest. Usually it's about maybe 3 months or something like that. This time it was 6 months because of the nature of the undertaking. It was just so immense. So, when I got down there, it was about, we had already approved our designs for our production design, so we knew the footprint of the stage and what we were going to put on the stage. But I went down there to basically kind of look at the colors. And as I said, a lot that I felt would really replicate and really kind of give what we were looking to do, the feel of it all for this entire community. And so I spent a lot of time with that. Obviously, Jerisa, who you mentioned, was down there. She started, and the interesting and cool thing about the interplay between the production designer and our wardrobe designer is that you have to really lock into your characters. So if you have someone who you feel is a pink character, we've got to make sure that we see that not just in their clothes, but also on the set and everything around them. And so they worked incredibly closely together to make sure that those characters all felt distinct. And as you guys know, there's 40-something characters. It's a big cast.
How has Atlanta embraced having that, such a a groundbreaking soap, like be shot there.
Yeah.
How does Atlanta? Do you get a vibe from
so
anyone
welcoming.
in the community?
Oh yeah. People, they love that we're down there because it really is such a big endeavor and such, a revolutionary type of a show.
Yeah.
And so to have it down there, people do feel that it's special. So we all feel it's special too, but they do as well, which is really nice.
That's sweet.
Yeah, it's great.
So you seem pretty unflappable. Like, I cannot imagine that this is going to be an easy question for you to answer, but have there been challenges along the way? Have there been challenges along the way? Because it seems like I can't imagine there's any fire that you can't put out. But
well, that's the thing. Whenever you produce anything, it's always something that you don't expect.
Right.
So it's kind of, you're right, it's like, okay, so then how do we solve it? That's really kind of the next go-to. It's not kind of, we have this issue and what are we going to do? There's a million ways to solve it, and that's kind of how I approach anything and everything, is that there's a million ways to skin a cat. So let's figure out the best way to make it happen. So yeah, there are definitely challenges. We're shooting 100 pages, close to that, every single day.
Do you do more than one show a day?
Yes, we do. We have to. Yeah. We got up to 6 episodes in a week, sometimes 7 episodes in a week. So every day is definitely an entire episode and a fraction.
Right.
But we don't necessarily also shoot in order. So we're experimenting on, shooting more linearly, but we're also shooting what makes sense according to our locations that we're using in our sets and all that.
To that end, a lot of soaps are an hour.
Yeah.
B&B being, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Was there ever a time where you thought, well, maybe we should make this a half hour and not an hour? No, it was always going to be an hour.
There may have been other people who may have thought it should be a half hour.
And you're like, no,
but
no.
I never thought it was going to be a half hour. No, I really wanted it. And I was very specific that I wanted it to be an hour. As I said, I was a big fan of Edge of Night.
Yes.
When that moved to ABC, that was a half-hour show. Obviously, Generations was a half-hour show. But I could compare kind of the hours to the half hours, and nothing wrong with a half-hour show, but there was so much that I wanted to get out, and I wanted for us, in terms of story, to be able to tell that an hour for me was like, I really want it to be an hour. So fortunately, I think it's really great that it is an hour. I mean, quite frankly, it could be longer. We have this huge cast with a lot going on, which I'm sure that you guys have been seeing. It has been a joy, kind of mining all that are the Duprees.
Because you want to get everyone's story out.
Yeah.
So it's hard to work them all at the same time. You can't do that.
And we've had some pretty big, juicy stories. And that's the great thing, too, about the show, is that we've wanted it to feel, really accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
And so, it's, there's some specificity, obviously, to the show, but what we're really dealing in and dwelling in is a universality.
Yeah.
We're dealing with things that, people who live inside the gates, as well as people who live outside the gates. We're dealing with, we have our matriarch and our patriarch with Tamara Tooney and with Clifton Davis, and we are so fortunate. Our whole cast is really, as I said, we were so specific about what we wanted, and we were fortunate enough to find the people that we found to populate this world. No small task to Kim Coleman, who is our casting director, and obviously a lot of participation, and ultimately from CBS and CBS Studios, Claudia Lyon and Pine and everybody there. It's been a real kind of everybody, kind of roll up their sleeves and wrap their arms around, what is this cast going to look like and what's the feel of it going to be. But we were very fortunate to get Tamara Tooney as well as Clifton Davis. I mean, just legends. And they lead this family like nobody else could as the matriarch and the patriarch. So
it's just from their first debut on camera, it's like, oh, this is their world. And we're just here to watch.
And we have 4 generations. We have the 2 daughters, obviously, Carla Mosley and Daphne Duplay, who played Dr. Nicole Richardson, and who played Danny Hamilton. Well, Danny Dupree, it was Hamilton, as we all know, but she went through some stuff. So, but just
like every soap.
like every soap,
like
exactly.
In life, right?
And that's really it. We
Yeah.
want to shine a light on, things that everybody is
They do.
going through.
They do.
It was really cool. I went to a reunion about 2 months ago, and it was really interesting. A woman that I had not seen in probably 30 years or so, who said, I love the show, and I was married, and Danny was my life. I didn't ask any more questions beyond that. I didn't want to ask how was Danny? How are you and Danny? But it was really cool because, she was like, she said to me, I felt like you were in my head. So, again, shout out and kudos to the writers.
Yeah.
Well, that would happen
actually.
whenever I don't know about you, but when I'd be on the show and I'd have some sort of story and I'm like, do they have a microphone in my room? I'm like, what is happening
How it's
here?
like mirroring your life?
Mirroring my life, yeah.
Yeah.
What is the soapiest thing that's ever happened in your life?
Oh, man. The soapiest thing in my life.
I mean, listen, I always think people say, sometimes people say, oh, my life is a soap opera. But it really is. And so people sometimes diminish soaps, but it's really, these things happen.
They do happen, but you know what? I'm going to claim amnesia. That's the soapiest thing. I'm going to take a drink and I'm going to say amnesia.
Oh my gosh.
That is such a good answer.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna.
Wait, tell us about your start in the industry
Yeah.
then.
Sure.
And what was your big break?
So I came out to Los Angeles 30 years ago.
From
From the East Coast. I'm
Yeah.
a native New Yorker.
me too.
Oh, wow. Whereabouts?
Staten Island.
Okay, Queens.
Sweet.
Yep, little
Outer
town
borough
called
represent.
Outer Borough. Let me tell you, there's nothing like it.
I know.
Very grateful for that.
Me
yeah,
too.
I grew up there in Queens, in Laurelton, actually.
Cool.
At Laurelton, Cambria Heights, went to elementary school out that way, and then grew up in New Jersey as well. So definitely a tri-state kind of kid between New York, New Jersey. I was in Connecticut for a while. So yeah, so it's East Coast. And so after college, I moved out to Los Angeles again on my quest to make a soap opera. So
Really?
that's
That was what motivated you to come to
It
Los
was
Angeles?
one of the things. Yeah, television was the big motivating factor,
Right.
but within television, yes, a soap opera.
Yeah.
I was very serious about that.
It was for me too. Like I think I don't think I ever had designs on being Brando. I wanted to work in TV because TV was what I grew up watching.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
That to me was
Same.
the aspiration.
Yeah.
Same. I love TV.
Yeah,
And
that
I
was
love
it.
Susan Lucci. I would be like, I could be Susan Lucci one day. Not really.
So you get to LA.
So I get to LA and I didn't know anything. I was an economics and political science major. I knew nothing about TV. I'd been on a set once before, but I was a kid. So, there was really no background for it. And I was just happy to be there, happy to do what I wanted to do. So I remember buying a one-way ticket from New York to Los Angeles.
Wow.
And really I said, regardless of what happens, I've done what I meant to do, which is come out here and try. Yeah. And I said, you have 30 days to find a job and to find an apartment. I gave myself 30 days.
Oh my
It's not a lot of time.
It wasn't a lot of time.
I gave myself 3 months when I first came.
Yeah, I gave myself 30 days. And what's interesting is on that 30th day, I got a job. And people said, you're not going to get a job. It's hard to meet people out here. But I did. I got a job and I was basically like a delivery person. I was delivering stuff. So it was like, but I said, I'll take it. Yeah. Great. I get to meet people and, I was delivering scripts and, getting lunches and you name it. So that's what I did. And I did that because I moved out in February of 2025. I'm sorry, of 1995. I'm sorry. And when the upfronts were happening, which we all know are in May and all of that, and the upfronts were happening and announcements were made for TV, I was looking for, okay, how do I get on a set? And so I found a position. I met somebody who actually grew up like the next town over from where I did in New Jersey and offered me a job to be a stage PA. So then I got promoted from, picking up lunches to actually standing at a podium, because that's how it worked in 95, standing at a podium. And there was a red light, and every time the cameras would be rolling, the red light would be on and the phone would ring. And I was just like, I was at my position and I did it well. So that's what I did. And then once I kind of, understood what a producer did and a director did because I didn't even know.
Yeah.
So once I got there, I knew that I wanted to get into development. And so I then was, everything was in stages. I was delivering, and then I was on set, and then I became a development assistant. So I did that for a couple of years, and then I became an executive right after that in development. Yeah.
Such a good story.
Yeah, I've been doing
Really.
it for a long time.
Yeah, congrats.
Oh, thank you.
Where do you think you picked up most of the things that you've learned that you have brought with you? Like, was it Will Packer? Was it what job really informed the way you are today?
It's every single job.
Yeah.
It's every single job. I have embraced including delivering. I can tell you, I know every single shortcut and side street in Los Angeles today because of what I did back then.
Remember the Thomas guides?
I had a Thomas guide. I sure did. And so it's truly, to me, it's wherever you are, you learn what you're going to learn and keep it moving.
Yeah.
And so that's literally what I did. I learned every little thing wherever I was, even, as I said, being a stage PA. There are things I learned there and relationships I made there that I still have to this very day. So everything.
My husband worked at Wendy's, and he said he learned so much working at Wendy's.
Yeah.
And he tells our daughter about that because your first jobs are really like, you really learn a lot about people and how to interact and how to get ahead and how to do well. And
Chuck E. Cheese was my first job.
Chuck E. Cheese? You went from Chuck E. Cheese to California Pizza Kitchen.
There was a few other
You
jobs in
must like
between.
pizza.
I would just take whatever job I could get, to your
You
point.
must like pizza.
What about you? What was your first job?
Oh, I did a lot of random things. I worked at a coffee shop and sold magazines.
Hey.
I also...
Hey, you gotta pay the bills.
You do. That's exactly right.
I was Alvin from Alvin and the Chipmunks. Had the costume on. That's hard.
Well, yeah, I get that. I was Chucky. We used to have to wear that big mouse costume and sing Happy Birthday to him as little
But I started
Rugrats.
young. I started doing like commercials and stuff like that when I was really young. So I was sort of like, lucked out in that department. But I did go work at a coffee shop. So
Yeah,
that was,
and I'm a big believer in that. Wherever you are, then just do what you do, and
Yeah.
it
you
really
learn how to
will.
get recognized and how to move forward and how to.
Yeah, it all comes around. And truly, as I said, I've been out here 30 years now, and there are things that I remember from 1995 that I still use today. So, yeah.
And you were a fan of the soaps.
Big fan. Yeah.
So does that inform the way you want this soap to be? Like, having been a fan, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you saw. I think I heard you talk in an interview about, you didn't see anyone like you. So this is a soap, but it's a huge step to have a show that has a lot of people of color on it. And thank God, finally,
And Black excellence and all
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
All of those things really important because they're really real, they're true, and they were part of my world, and I wanted to not only tell something that was familiar to me, but I think familiar to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And for people for which it's not familiar, for them to get familiar with it so that they can, have some understanding of, just different cultures and different perspectives. And that's the beauty of this. I was starting to say it's, people who might live behind the gates and not, and age and gender and all kinds of things. We wanted to really kind of have a platform for all kinds of stories so that it was just, everyone felt like, or we're hoping anyway, that people would feel like, oh, this reminds me of me, or this reminds me of my aunt, or whatever the case may be, in a really, really broad sense. And that's what I mean when I say just the universality of these themes that we're actually mining for the show. We want people to actually look at this and see
themselves in it.
Yeah, just see themselves. And so I feel like people, because so many different kinds of people, I think, comment on the show and comment to me personally, who are from all walks of life. I feel like we've really done a great job with that. And that's really, makes me feel really good.
Good. You have 1,000%. What, if you had a crystal ball, what would you like to see ahead for Beyond the Gates?
Gosh, it's kind of one day at a time, I have to say. I'm in no rush because I look at General Hospital, it's been on for 62 years. And I look at, Days of Our Lives, also 60 years. And, Bold and the Beautiful, I mean, 38 years, and, you know, Young and the Restless, I mean, more than 50 years.
Yeah.
I really feel like we have something that can go, anyone who knows me and has been around me in these last several months knows that I say it's going 100 plus years.
Yes.
So, and I put the plus on it on purpose, because why stop at 100?
Yeah, I love that.
feel like, you know, there's stories that are just, I mean, it's infinite types of stories, and there's all kinds of stories that have not been told, and certainly not told, you know, the way that we're looking to tell them.
Yeah.
And so truly, I am in it for the long haul, and I'm hoping that all the fans are and all the folks are too, because we have a lot that we're trying to say.
I hope so. I hope so too. Yeah.
Okay, I feel like I might know your answer to this next one, but it's something we ask all our guests. Who would you consider your king and your queen of soaps?
Oh, wow. That is a good question. Okay, you absolutely don't know who I'm going to say then. I'm going to go back to General Hospital, because that was the first soap that I watched.
Okay.
And Luke and Laura, yes. And Frisco and Felicia, yes. But when I was 10, it was Claudia and Brian. If you remember, Bianca
General Hospital.
From General Hospital, Bianca Ferguson played Claudia,
Okay.
and Todd Davis played Brian. And they were the two Black soap opera characters who ended up eventually getting married and having twins and leaving and all of that.
And they left.
And they left, yeah.
Aw.
But they looked like me, I have to say. And I was so interested every time that they were on camera. I would be like, okay, Brian and Claudia are back on. So, yeah.
I
awesome.
understand the importance of that.
Yeah.
And even
I do
watching
too.
Beyond the Gates, every time Mike Manning and
Yeah.
what's his name? His
Martin?
husband, Martin.
Yeah,
When they were on,
Mike
I'd be
Manning.
like paying attention to the whole show, but when they were on, is a little extra,
Yeah.
paying a little closer attention.
That's Brandon Claiborne,
That's
and
right.
they are incredible.
Yeah.
I have to say, just again, I know that we talked about the casting before, but it is, it's rare that you get your first choice, so often, especially you're looking at so many characters. But yeah, I mean, they are, the two of them, incredible.
Yeah.
Really the entire cast.
Beyond,
They
yeah.
each
Yeah,
bring
absolutely.
such distinctness to their characters.
And
They really make the show.
You touched on that. That is something that I think we should put a fine point on in a canvas of 30 plus actors.
Yeah.
To walk onto a stage and say, how am I going to differentiate myself?
Yeah.
And everybody on that show does it.
They do, and it's not even been that
I know.
long. That's the thing. It's a matter of months, and they have really fully inhabited who they are. To the
good
extent
writing, though,
that,
too.
oh my gosh, the writing, the directing, the producing, it's a team of 200 people. Even, in the building, the executives, every single person, I couldn't even begin to tell you from CBS Studios and the network, all the people that make this show go.
Yeah.
So it's, these Zooms when we first got started, they were immense. It was, production, it was finance, it was labor, it was everything. It was casting, it was, current, it was, I couldn't even begin to tell you how many people, and again, I don't like to list because I always leave people out, but I will say it was, it has been a huge number of people, and still to this day, huge number of people that make the show go.
Yeah.
So it's people here in Los Angeles, it's people in Atlanta, it's a lot of folks.
Yeah.
We even have folks in Texas. We got a Texan on our writing staff.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, now people
our
are
writing
writing from-
staff is remote.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah,
really
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
all over.
I know that's
New York.
that's common now. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I do have to give a shout out to them, because if you've been watching, and I'm sure that you have been, some of the best writing, daytime, prime time, it doesn't matter. Some of the best writing that I've ever come across.
Probably
It's amazing.
recognize some of those writers just
Yeah.
from All My
Jamie.
Children
Yeah.
and yeah.
Jamie's there and Ron Carlivati's there. And
Yeah.
because
Oh,
again,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah, yeah,
community,
yeah.
and we all sort of...
Yeah.
That
it is
was
a community.
the thing too. When we were first looking at writers, it was important to me. Obviously, Michelle runs the room, but
Right.
it was important to me that we had people who knew soap
Yeah.
and understood soap. So I got a lot of calls from agents who obviously, there are primetime soaps, but those primetime soaps are, once a week at best, and I really wanted for people who exclusively new soap because it's such a different beast. You know,
Completely.
turning over scripts
Yeah.
every single week and just knowing how to do it.
Yeah.
And it was important because we were starting from ground zero. So we had brand new cast. All the cast had to learn each other. They had to learn, you know, kind of what the characters were going to be doing. And it was important that where we could have experience and people who knew how to direct, people who knew how to produce, people who knew how to light, people who knew how to do all of these things, who knew how to write.
Yeah.
It was really important where we could get the experience that was already, you know, there to utilize that.
Right.
So every single writer has had that we used out the gate were off of soaps exclusively.
Wow. Well, so you know, there is again the specificity of this beast, and knowing how you have to. There's a fair amount of exposition because there could be somebody that missed Tuesday's episode.
Yeah.
So speaking in a way that we wouldn't normally in life, and for the writers to be able to sort of weave that in an organic way, for the actors to then be able to try and deliver it in an organic way. Yeah.
Because that's one of the things we want people to be able to jump in, obviously, at any point.
Yeah.
So it is written that way. So
That's
that
the
was a
beauty
good
of soaps.
observation. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
So you have some legendary soap actors
Yeah.
on your show. You also have some actors who are newer to daytime.
Yeah.
And can you share, have there been any specific experiences that they've had about sort of immersing themselves in the daytime community? Have they had any interesting interactions with fans in Atlanta?
I have to say it's such a, like, the thing that abides in this on the set is generosity. So the people who have had the daytime experience, I mean, are so generous with sharing the little things that might make, you know, performance that much better or that much quicker. And you were talking about efficiency, all of that. So, you know, the level of sharing and the level of, you know, you need someone to read your lines with you, people read the lines. You know, it's just really, you know, the environment is incredible where everybody wants everybody to succeed because, as we talked about, the interdependency of what it takes to make a soap is through the roof.
Yeah.
And so everybody is looking to help everybody. So yeah, we do have, you know, our cornerstone of fabled and incredible veteran soap actors. Tamara obviously is one of them, Tamara Tooney and Daphne Duplay and Carla Mosley and Mike Manning that you just pointed out. So we have several actually who know their way around a soap opera set. And then the ones that don't, I mean, they have quickly learned. You know, it's a lot of pages that have to get memorized, a lot of stuff. And I mean, it is really incredible how quickly we've come up in these last few months of just producing the show, and folks know how to do it now.
Yeah. This has been an absolute delight.
know.
I am truly,
you so
your enthusiasm
much
is
for your
absolutely infectious.
time.
We're so thrilled for the show, for you, for what lies ahead. And we're just very grateful that you're here with us today.
Well, and may I also just say another thing too? I just want to say, I want to congratulate the both of you on Soapy.
Thank you.
Because there are millions, as we all know, of soap
Podcasts.
fans.
Oh,
I have
like
to say,
podcasts.
millions
fans.
of folks on podcasts and soap fans,
Yeah.
but people who wanted something like this. So with you and your careers and your background and all that you guys have done, I mean, it couldn't be
Thanks.
two more perfect people. And I
Thank
have
you.
to say, people are going to be
sweet.
tuning into this. It's going to be really great and something that's been needed.
Thanks.
so
We're really,
sweet.
really
Thank
excited.
you.
And I love
Yeah.
the perspective we have of, you know, we're in it. We're making the same.
And I like that we get to talk with people that, like you, executive producing a show, so you can fill us in on all the things that go behind the scenes, you know? I mean, talking to actors is fun, but it's also fun to see what happens behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think.
well, there's a lot that happens behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah, there
I will
is.
say.
Oh, yeah, there is. All right.
You know.